Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up, I have ranked the top 10 players that Pete Carroll and John Spytek are the most likely to select with the number 6 pick of the 2025 NFL Draft. Before I go through my top 10 players, this show is about the nation. This show is about interaction. And I want you to plant your flag. Who do you think the Raiders are the most likely to pick at number 6? Today's show is going to be ranked from the least to the most likely. So I'm confidently sitting up here going, the player that I have number 1, if I was a betting man, is the player that I could see the Raiders taking with that number 6 pick. Let's go to number 10 here on the list, and I'll be real, this would be a shocker to everybody. But the only reason why Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State, is on this list is because if you're somebody that wants the Raiders to go best player available, Tyler Warren could be the best player available. He's big, he's athletic, he's tough, competitive. Overall, he is an elite prospect. I would say everybody that I've talked to in the NFL community has Tyler Warren as a top 6 overall prospect. He also has some of that Max Crosby swagger on the field, which you love to see, and he does whatever you ask him to do. He'll block, he'll go out there and run. I also wonder, and this is why I could see the Raiders potentially taking him, again, best player available at number 6. Bowers and Warren would be the best tight end duo in the NFL, and the amount of reports that we've seen this offseason about the Raiders looking for an X-receiver, what if the Raiders just said, you know what? We didn't draft Michael Mayer. He can still be tight end too. We're going to let Tyler Warren be our every down tight end, and then we're going to use Brock Bowers because he's an alien, and we're just going to line him up as an X-receiver. If you're a team that wants to run the football and be physical like Pete Carroll teams like to do, it would be an interesting fit, I'm not going to lie, with Chip Kelly's system. But if Tyler Warren, if they told me, hey, we wanted to go best player available, and that was Tyler Warren, it'd be a weird pick, but I could see it end up going down. Let's go to number 9 here, and it's going to be cornerback Jahdae Barron. Barron is a true Swiss Army knife, and he can do so many different things, which makes him really interesting for Patrick Graham, makes him very interesting for Pete Carroll because of all the different things that he can do. He can defend the run, he can defend the pass, he can go up and blitz if that's what you're looking for the Raiders. But because the Raiders like to run a 3-safety look, and because, you know, the silver and black don't really have that nickel guy right now, think of Jahdae Barron as you hit the upgrade button on somebody like a Nate Hobbs. The reason why this pick could end up happening, the Raiders end up meeting with him at the Combine, which is important. Carroll loves DBs, and Patrick Graham loves players with versatility, and that's what Barron's going to be able to bring to the table. Also, I went back and I watched some of the tape of that Ohio State game, and PFF actually has Barron ranked kind of low, but there's not a single Buckeyes wide receiver against Texas that had over 75 receiving yards. And, you know, they're going to go a bunch of different ways. Jeremiah Smith, I believe in that game, had only 1 catch. Trevion Henderson hit a home run. But in terms of the offense struggled for the Buckeyes in the playoffs, I would say they struggled the most against the Texas Longhorns, and Jahdae Barron did put on some good tape in that game. Let's go to number 8 here. It's going to be quarterback Shedeur Sanders. Yes, I have Sanders in this list. No, I would not take Sanders if he was available at pick number 6. But the reason why he's going to be here, and I do think that it is a bit of a surprise, but because the Raiders went out and they traded for Geno Smith, and because they want to win now, Shedeur could be a little bit of a surprising overall player. He is very accurate. He shows the ability to get better. And I know that some people are going to knock on Shedeur because he's cocky. I don't mind him being cocky. To me, he shows that he's mentally tough. And the number one thing that I would almost look for, honestly, in a quarterback that's going to go to the Raiders is, can he handle pressure? And Shedeur's been able to handle pressure. I will admit his comments about like Jackson State never having good players or Colorado like not being good until he got there kind of shows the naive side of him a little bit. But the reason why I think that this pick could happen, he is the number 2 quarterback behind Cam Ward. Tom Brady has been his mentor since 2020, and Deion Sanders has said in the past that he likes the idea of Shedeur playing in Las Vegas. And when I think about the skill set that Sanders has, it would not shock me that Deion wants Sanders to work with Tom Brady based on everything that they've already been doing, based on everything that they've already worked on together. Shedeur Sanders, though, is going to come in here at number 8. And I'm going to be honest. At the time I'm making this video, the next 7 players that I'm going to break down, I would say there is a massive, and I mean massive tier gap based on those 3 players that I just talked about. I don't think that those 3 players are going to happen. These next 7, if I was a betting man, is going to be where I would put my money on the Raiders pick at number 6. Before I get into those, though, if you plan on tuning into the NFL draft, why don't you just watch it here with the Raiders Report? You will get the picks before you see them on television. Sometimes we're 2-3 picks ahead of the time. On day 1, day 2, day 3, what you see is how many people watched us and how long we were live for. We had basically 300,000 people tuned in, almost 21 hours of live content. If you want NFL draft content and you're a Raiders fan, there's one place to go and one place only, and that's here, the Raiders Report. Let's go to number 7. It's going to be wide receiver Tetairoa McMillan from Arizona, and I would say this is probably the number 1 wide receiver, though there are some teams that don't have McMillan ranked number 1 on their receiver board. He's tall, he's rangy, he can turn 50-50 balls into 80-20, which is something that I like. He can also win down the field. Reminds me of Drake London, Mike Evans, of just how fluid he moves in and out of his routes and his ability to just make plays down the field. His toughness and love for the game are being questioned right now by some NFL teams. I don't know if the Raiders are one of those teams that are questioning it, but the reason why this could happen at 6, McMillan met with the Raiders at the Combine. Also, McMillan said at the Combine that he has a great relationship with the Raiders and sounded very confident in that. The Raiders offensive line coach, Pete Carroll, also coached him at Arizona for 2 seasons. One of the other things that I do like about McMillan is he probably could have entered the transfer portal, and he probably could have gone somewhere else. He is the only receiver in college football the past 2 seasons that had at least 1,300 receiving yards. And I will tip my cap to McMillan for staying at Arizona, and he even said, like, him and his teammates made almost like a pact that they were going to stick together. McMillan comes in here, though, at number 7. Let's go to number 6 on the board, and somebody that I would love for the Raiders to draft, but I just don't know if it's going to happen. Armand Membou, offensive tackle from Missouri. To me, this is a player that played right tackle the past 3 seasons. So if you wanted to draft him, you wouldn't have to kick Colton Miller over to the other side. Out of all the linemen in this year's draft, there's nobody that has higher upside to me. There's nobody that I think could be on this Raiders team more guaranteed for the next 10 years. Maybe then somebody like Membou. He loves to compete. He loves to embarrass people. And in terms of why Membou could end up being the pick here at number 6, Spytek didn't commit to DJ Glaze, and I know Spytek likes Glaze a lot more than I originally thought, but Spytek also hinted just in the past week that he could use one of his 9 picks on offensive linemen and said the quote, "You know I love offensive linemen." I know Spytek loves the trenches. Membou also, because of his height, his weight, and the time that he ran at the NFL Combine, it compares to Trent Williams. It compares to Tristan Wirfs, a guy that John Spytek drafted in round 1. Before we get into our top 5, today's show is presented by Game Time, the official ticketing sponsor of Chat Sports and of the Raiders Report. And if you're planning on going to an event, whether it is a baseball game, NFL game, NBA game, a hockey game, there is one place to get your tickets and one place only, and that is Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. That's CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's Game Time. I have used Game Time for the past few years, and I can't tell you how many times I've been able to save money on all the events that I go to. When I go to a new city, I don't like to overplan. Honestly, Alex is usually the planner, and if your wife or significant other person in your life, I don't know how else you want to describe it, is the planner, but sometimes you want to be able to put together something fun to do, and you can do it at the last moment. That's where Game Time helps me out. Just the other day, which for those that don't know, the 6th of every month, Alex and I have been trying to just do something small, minor. We're getting ready to get married, and we've been looking to do just some fun little things. The other day, her and I were looking at some tickets, and my buddy, he invited me to go to a Mavs game, and he didn't have an extra ticket for her, so I was able to bring her through Game Time, and I did it through the Game Time picks, which is always going to help you get the best deals available. And if you're somebody that always looks for the best deals available, that's what makes Game Time, I think, the top ticketing sponsor that we've had. And I love Game Time, and I think that you guys will too. Prices drop the sooner the event gets, and you're going to get that lowest price guarantee, which is something that, again, I don't think can be understated. You're also going to be able to get event cancellation protection, which I love. So if you are ready to get started, download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code ChatSports. Download Game Time today. That link's down in the comments and in the description of today's show. Let's get into the top 5 players that I think that the Raiders could end up drafting. Coming in here at number 5 is going to be Jalon Walker, outside linebacker, edge prospect from Georgia. And Walker has been a name that has been slowly climbing up boards based on certain reports from people who are very well tied in through college football. He played outside linebacker in college, which I think is really important. Also is an edge prospect. A long frame, great burst, change of direction, speed. Also has some tape that he was able to show that he could cover some tight ends. I will say, because the Raiders have been looking for an outside linebacker and kind of like a Caleb Von Chasen, Divine Diablo, all-encompassing player in one that has Malcolm Kunt's ability to get after the quarterback, much better ability, honestly, than Malcolm. Walker is a freak athlete. The reason why this pick could happen at number 6 is the Raiders held a top 30 visit and met with him at his pro day. Lance Zierlein, very well-connected guy in the NFL circles, and Bruce Feldman had the Raiders passing on Jeanty for Walker in a recent mock draft, a mock draft that was based on some of the things that they've been hearing. Also, Walker, his leadership is famous in the Georgia building. The Raiders want guys that are going to be building block players. And when you take somebody like Brock Bowers, and it was such a good fit, can you also find a Jalon Walker type of player on defense? Because if you're trying to build a culture, you need guys that love football, that have great leadership in your building. And when you draft somebody in round 1, you're instantly saying that guy needs to be a leader. This would be really bad news, though, for Tyree Wilson. Let's go to number 4, and it's going to be offensive lineman from LSU, Will Campbell, which there was a part of me where I thought about putting Jalon Walker ahead of Will Campbell, and I decided, you know what, we could almost just say either or, 4 or 5. The reason why I'm going to put Campbell up here is because I would say offensive line is a bigger need than edge outside linebacker. And I say that because Will Campbell, I don't know if a team's going to put him at tackle. I don't know if a team's going to put him maybe even at left guard, right? I mean, we've seen a lot of conversation about Kappa, Parham, right guard, Jordan Meredith at left guard. If you want to have your left side of your offensive line be Colton Miller, Will Campbell, JPJ, that is a great blindside protection for Geno Smith. And the reason why I have him up here, the Raiders held a top 30 visit with them. They met with them at the NFL Combine. And just like I said about Membou, the Raiders, Spytek, believe in winning in the trenches, and they love offensive linemen. Also, like I mentioned about Membou, Will Campbell at 6'6", 323. Him, Membou, Tristan Wirfs, Trent Williams are the only 4 offensive linemen in NFL Combine history to be over 315 pounds, to have a vertical jump of over 30 inches, and to run a 40 time under 5 seconds. Will Campbell's a hell of a player. I know he's got T-Rex arms, but you put him in at guard, and he's going to be a starter on this offensive line, and it's going to help us have a top 10 offensive line. Before we get into the top 3 prospects that I would say are the most likely that the Raiders pick at number 6, another shout out here to the Noti gang. Ithat, Doreen, Scott, Jeff Garcia. Thank you for turning on those notifications. Thank you for clicking all, and every time I drop a video, spam a Noti gang down below. I see you, I represent it, and I rock with y'all. Let's go to number 3 here. It's going to be defensive tackle Mason Graham. And if I would have made this show last month, I would not have had Mason Graham as high as what I have Mason Graham right now. But if you're looking for a defensive tackle, it's going to make other players around him better. That's what Graham's going to do. I love his first step, and I love his ability to see a play and just react to it quickly. He sheds blocks really well. I think he takes on double teams really well. There are some people that actually don't think Graham is the number 1 DT in this class. I personally don't know if Graham is the number 1 DT, but I think he's the number 1 fit for the Raiders, so that's why he's my number 1. What I love about Graham is he's got wrestling background, and you can see it on tape. Dude just absolutely mauls people inside. He does have a top 30 visit with the Raiders, met with them at the NFL Combine, and the fact that he met with the Raiders on April 8th, the same day that voluntary offseason workouts happen, that is extremely interesting to me. He's got Michigan ties, and one of the things that the Raiders did this offseason is they made sure that Max Crosby was happy. Gave him an extension, kept Rob Leonard, gave Patrick Graham a raise. On top of that, Adam Butler. Max wanted the defensive line to be stout. Mason Graham makes the Raiders' defensive line the best in the NFL, and if you're a team that values the trenches, which the Raiders do, Mason Graham is absolutely a player to keep in mind at 6. Let's go to number 2 here. It's going to be Will Johnson, cornerback at Michigan, and if you're somebody that likes smoke and fire, there is so much smoke right now around the Raiders looking at Will Johnson. I will admit, taking him at number 6 feels a little bit early to me, and if you told me the Raiders trade back in the first round, I'd almost say Will Johnson's the most likely pick that the Raiders would go with because he's big, he's long, he's an athletic corner. His biggest weakness to me is recovery speed, but he's just so good at being able to keep guys in front of him and recognizing the play, diagnosing the play. If you have a legit defensive line and Johnson's going to be out there, I do think that he's got some Patrick Surtain in him just because over the past 3 years, I think the most consistent, best corner in college football for a 3-year stretch is Will Flippin' Johnson, and I don't know if it's really all that close. The reason why that I could see this pick end up happening, top 30 visit, formal combine meeting, the very first team that Johnson is going to meet with after he works out on April 15th, he is meeting with the April 14th, he has his pro day. April 15th is when he's going to be meeting with the Raiders, the very first team. The Michigan ties to Tom Brady. The Charles Woodson ties are in there. We know Pete Carroll loves and values cornerbacks, and I heard from a source at the NFL Combine that when the Raiders sat down and they talked to Mason Graham, they were asking Mason Graham questions about Will Johnson. That is just one of those little notes for me that I'm always just going to keep. I'm just going to have the cherry on top. And if you really wanted to get to know a player, why not go out and ask somebody who's been a teammate of his, who's won a national championship of his, and has been a leader on that team, on that defense with Michigan? Will Johnson is there. But coming in here at number 1, I would say the player most likely that is selected to the Raiders at pick number 6, Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty. And if you look at what a running back should look like, and you want to create a guy on Madden, kind of looks like Jeanty. He can do everything really flipping well. I think he can even catch the football a little bit better than what people give him credit for. He's a home run hitter that's also going to be able to bat 400 essentially. I don't know if Jeanty can bust. He might not be the great pick if you don't have a great offensive line, but I really do truly believe Ashton Jeanty is almost bust-proof because of how good of a running back he is. Now, the reason why I think that Jeanty at 6 could happen, top 30 visit, formal combine meeting, pro day visit, also meeting with the Raiders on April 8th, the day that they have voluntary offseason workouts. What's really interesting is John Spytek, the Raiders running back coach, Jalon Walker, they had dinner with the Boise State head coach after Jeanty's pro day. The only team that had dinner with Jeanty and the only team that actually took their GM and running back coach to the Boise State pro day was, in fact, the Las Vegas Raiders. So when you have all of that, on top of the fact that the running game coordinator is Brennan Carroll, Pete's son, who's going to be in charge of the running game, Ashton Jeanty just fits that. And I know that he still needs to get better in a few other areas, but I really do think that best player available could be Jeanty. There are some people that I've seen recently, like Lance Zierlein, the number 1 player on his big board, Ashton Jeanty. If you're going best player available, you're trying to fill a team need, I'm not going to get mad about it at all if Jeanty's the pick for the Las Vegas Raiders. So let's roll through these one more time here. The top 10 picks most likely for the Raiders at number 6, Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State. Jahdae Barron, cornerback from Texas. Shedeur Sanders, quarterback from Colorado. Tetairoa McMillan, wide receiver, Arizona. Armand Membou, offensive tackle, Missouri. Jalon Walker, outside linebacker from Georgia. Will Campbell, offensive lineman from LSU. Mason Graham, defensive tackle, Michigan. Will Johnson, cornerback from Michigan. And then running back, Boise State, Ashton frickin' Jeanty. If you want to take a screenshot of that, you want to post it on social media, I am at Mitchell Renz 365. And if there's any other names that you think I forgot, hey, if you made it this far in the video, I'm going to be looking, I'm going to be seeing. And if you're looking for more Raiders draft content, if you want to hang out with Jeremy Chuggs and I and thousands of Raiders fans when the Raiders take that pick at number 6, pull up, turn on those notifications, because I promise you this, nobody's going to have more fun than we do on draft night.